Oh, yay. It worked.
Good morning,
Good morning, everybody.
beautiful people.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful people. I'm Nina.
I'm supposed to do the intro.
Oh, that's right. I forgot already.
Good morning, beautiful people. To my left, your right, is the wonderful, beautiful Nina Rizzo, unicorn whisperer, master of meditation, buyer of fall candles, expert decorator, and partner of crime. Again, Nina Rizzo.
That was a great introduction.
No,
Thank you, love.
I thought it was going to be funnier, but it works.
And to my right and your left is Ryan O'Neill. He is a superhero loving and also a superhero himself. Wonder Man. That's what he calls himself. He also loves the Clemson Tigers. As you can see, it's evidenced by his outfit. He's usually wearing orange at some point when you meet him.
The majority of my wardrobe.
Yes. And he is also a very good carpenter. He just built me a desk and a bookshelf.
It's IKEA.
Yeah, but he followed those instructions pretty well. It was
So
great.
while we are waiting for more people to jump on board, we thought it'd be a little bit fun if we do a little bit of a Q&A. So I thought I'd start off with a joke
Perfect.
that I didn't forewarn you. Nina Rizzo, what did the oak tree say to the pesky woodpecker?
The oak tree to the pesky woodpecker. I have no idea what.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Did you make that up?
Yeah, like 30 seconds ago.
Wow. Nice.
Yep.
Nice, nice.
Your turn.
Okay. Do you want me to tell a joke or ask you a question?
Either or.
So, I'm going to ask you a question, Ryan.
Okay, Nina.
Where would you rather get stranded for a year straight? Clemson or Disney World?
Ooh, that's tough. That's really hard. For those of you that don't know me, that don't know my personal story, my first job that I ever had outside of school, I was actually a safari driver down in Disney World, and that's where I have some really awesome memories, super fun. But Clemson is one of my favorite places ever. Man, that's really hard.
I know.
So I'm just gonna
I
have
didn't
to.
warn you about
I'm gonna
this
have to give you the answer of how I feel today. I think since it's only appropriate that we were listening to Disney music as I was building her IKEA furniture, I think I would rather be, there's a stipulation. Assuming that it's not swarmed with thousands upon thousands of visitors, Disney World. But if it's peak summer and it's crammed and you gotta wait 2 hours for a ride, Clemson all day, every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us. Just to give you a little bit of background of what's going on, Nina was invited for us to participate in this really great experience to showcase our relationship, our story, and to talk a little bit about meditation. That's really Nina's expertise. I'm just here for a little bit of entertainment value.
Yes. Thanks, love.
You're welcome.
So Max, a lot of you that are tuned in probably know Max or work with her. She's a wonderful, wonderful life coach. And she invited me and Ryan on here to share a meditation on love. And I thought it would be really cool for us to share a little bit about our story too, because our story involves divine timing and patience and just tuning into the energy of spirit, which I'm sure a lot of you are pretty familiar with. So I thought that it would be nice for us to hop on here, whether you're in a relationship or you are not in a relationship,
Or coming out of one.
or coming out of a relationship, whatever stage you're in. I think that we'll have some really good juicy stuff to share with you just around how you can live a life of love and enjoy and really, really live the life that you have dreamed of in that regard.
One thing that I think is really important is that we both share two different sides or two different perspectives, because Nina comes from a world where she was already very open to meditation, energy work, and pathways, but I wasn't. And I walked into it with a mild amount, I would say a healthy amount of skepticism, but I definitely have been the benefactor to some of these things, especially being more mindful, working on my breath control and that kind of stuff. So the first thing that I would say is that some of the things that we talk about, they may work for you, maybe not, maybe you relate to them in a different way, maybe you call them something different, but the biggest thing is you have to be open to just positivity, positive energy moving through the world, moving through your life and that everything's going to work out for the best. And that's really kind of what happened to us. We've both been through a couple really bad relationships. And at the time, we were both in different stages in our life where we were going through a major transitional period. And for me, I had just moved up from Orlando a couple years ago, and I ended up joining a church because I was looking for a volunteer outreach program and was really fortunate to get connected to a really large church in the Philadelphia area. That led to me getting connected to a friend. Her name is Erin. Erin asked me to do a little bit of voiceover work for her and her partner, Maria. Well, lo and behold, one night where I was doing a little bit of rehearsal work with Erin, she asked me to stop by her friend's place on the way home to drop off a care package because she had a friend that was really, really sick. I didn't know, but based on the recommendation or the really high compliments that Erin paid Nina, I knew that I wanted to meet her, but I knew that I wasn't going to bother her on her front doorstep. So show up at Nina's place, drop off the care package, and I say, hey, I hope you feel better. And I left it at that. But then about a week later, I very slyly texted her and said, hey, how did the
It was
magic?
3 days.
3 days?
Yeah, 3 days later,
Oh,
not
yeah.
a week.
I was ready to go. I texted her and I said, hey, how did the magical care package work out for you? Just as like a little quick little intro thing. And that's really how it started off for us.
Pretty sly.
Oh.
Pretty sly. Yeah, so to tell my version of the story too, I was in a place where I was doing way too many things. I was kind of like a yes girl. I was working a full-time job. I was in graduate school. I was teaching yoga and meditation classes outside of work. It was just too much, and I was kind of just running around all over the place. It was great because I was really excited about all the things I was able to share with people, but I was just doing too much. And I literally ran myself into the ground and I got the flu. For any of you who have had the flu before, maybe hit like right now if you've had it before, or a thumbs down, because it is not fun. I was literally on the couch for like 2 weeks. And I randomly connected with Erin, who is the one that Ryan knows one day. She called me. We were just kind of catching up, checking in. And Erin, if you're on here, props to you. Hello, hello. So I talked to Erin, and she said, oh my gosh, I am going to make you a care package and bring it over to you later. And I was like, wonderful, great. That sounds awesome. Anything right now to help. So she calls me 2 hours later and she's like, hey, I'm actually going to have my friend drop it off to you. He was here doing some voiceover work randomly tonight and you are on his way home. So I was like, all right, cool, awesome. Just get it to me. And so Ryan shows up at my door and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was going to be some handsome guy. Like, what the heck? And I literally looked like death. I had a bun on the top of my head. I had glasses on. I was pale. I was wearing a long sleeve tee that was like down to my shins, and I had unicorn slippers on. I was like, this guy's going to think I'm like a nutcase, you know? So, but anyway, it all just kind of happened from there. And it was really cool how neither of us were, we didn't plan it. It just happened.
We were open to it. And that is kind of what I alluded to before when we were asked to do this joint Facebook Live on the themes of life, love, and meditation. That really is one of the prime or one of the most important things that we both share in our life, is that we are open to divine timing. We're open to everything working out for a reason. We are open to the fact that we're going to try our hardest in everything that we do, and we're going to accept whatever help the universe or God or whatever you want to call it is going to give us. And thankfully, so far, things continue to progress really awesomely and amazingly for the both of us. So that's a little bit about life. Nina Rizzo, you have something very exciting coming up. You have a new project that you're working on, correct?
I do, yes.
So would you like to tell all these beautiful people what is one of your new projects that you have coming up?
Yeah, sure. So I am going to be starting a new yoga class called ED Om. And if any of you are on here that know me, you probably know that I love house music and I love yoga. And so I've decided to bring the two together to formulate an hour-long class where we're going to focus on breath work at the start with like some slower, trancier music, and then we're going to start flowing, and we're going to go to the beat of the music for some of it, and we're just going to really stay connected to our breath and to the music, and then we're going to end with a deep relaxation meditation. So I'm really excited to launch this class. It's going to be super, super, super fun.
Bumping.
He'll be there. You might want to go next to him because you can just feed off of his energy. Well, on the subject of that, what do you have going on, Ryan?
So my life has been through a period of transition also, and I have recently started pursuing a vision that I've had for a long time, and I started my first podcast. I say the first because there are many to come, but the show that I started is called This Amazing Life, highlighting people and topics that inspire you, the listener, to live, love, and lead your own amazing life. So we've had people talking about self-healing. We've had a gentleman on board who talked about his program where he helps paraplegic people ride motorcycles. I just recorded 2 more interviews recently. One that is with a guy named Charlie Brenneman. He was the number 7 MMA fighter in the world. It's just really, it's a mechanism to highlight the people that don't get the attention that they need to, and to share a little bit of positivity and hope in the world. So thank you for asking. Since we also wanted to talk a little bit about love, Nina Rizzo, I would like to ask you a question. Name 1 or 2 things that you really appreciate about our relationship, or that you feel help us to be better as a couple.
Okay. So one thing I really appreciate about our relationship, and I really want to stress this for anybody who maybe has had a long journey and hasn't really had a healthy relationship, or one that made them feel really great about themselves. So something I really appreciate is that this relationship has not brought me any stress, right? Since our first date, I have not felt stressed because of Ryan or because of our relationship. It's literally just been fun, and it's only added joy to my life. And I literally remember being at a point when I did not think that was possible. You know, I would have other friends of mine tell me, oh my gosh, like, it's just going to be so easy when it's the right person. I'm like, what does easy mean? Like, what does that even mean? How is that possible? Right. But you know, it's just been zero stress, has only added positivity, joy, encouragement, and support to my life. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about our relationship.
Sure.
Something else I appreciate is that we communicate very healthily. So if there's something going on, of course, little things are going to come up, you know. So if something comes up for me where it's something coming up from my past or something internally that just comes up and I feel like there's a block there, I bring it right up to Ryan, and he's super receptive to it. And at first, when I would bring things up to him, I'd be like, hey, listen, I'm not going to project this onto you, but this is some of my stuff coming up, right? And I just need to share it with you. When I would bring that up at first, it was really scary for me. And I would tell him, I'd be like, listen, it's scary for me to get super vulnerable, you know, right away. You know, I feel comfortable doing it with you, but it's still pretty scary. So being able to bring those things up as they're happening, instead of being like, oh, it's not that big a deal, I'll just deal with it on my own. That's something I really appreciate, because it helps me feel more supported and safe in our relationship.
Sure. And to piggyback on the first thing that Nina said, the fact that there isn't stress it's a revelation for me and for Nina too. And I hope that's the case for some of you. Hopefully you're in a relationship, if you are in one, that it doesn't cause you stress, because truthfully, it's not supposed to. And if it is causing stress, then hopefully you can have the patience, the courage, and the understanding to have that conversation with your significant other to say, hey, I really want to talk about this because I want our relationship to be better than it is. And hopefully that person won't hold any resentment or any expectations, and you can grow because of it. And I would say 2 things for me is that I can be 100% myself. Super goofy, super nerdy. I can talk about superheroes. We can talk about Disney, or days when I'm not doing super awesome and I'm super frustrated or something. Like last weekend, I burnt the crap out of the chicken on the grill, and I was upset. Because I don't like giving her bad food. I don't like cooking stuff and giving it to her. And she was a trooper. I mean, she ate some of it and she said it with a smile, and she's always super great about saying, you know what, like, it's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah. So the fact that I get to be 100% myself is a huge relief, and something I am always, super, super grateful for. And that is the second thing that I would say is we constantly, and when I say constantly, I'm not trying to overemphasize it. We probably say it at least 6 or 7 times a day, just saying how much we appreciate each other, either for something little that we do, whether we write each other a little note when one person is visiting or leaving, or if it's just one person made a comment and just like, oh, I really appreciate that about you. Just constantly living in a state of gratitude and appreciation definitely helps to reinforce our relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
So let's check in really quick. We saw that a couple of you had a couple comments, so let me take a quick look. We've been rambling on for about 15 minutes. Well, how about that? So let me scroll up to the top and see what we got. There's a lot of comments. Lori, Marie, Shannon. Oh, wow. Hi from Norway. I really would like to pronounce your name, but I'm not going to botch it. Fatima, Maya, Anne, Brandy, Judy. Thank you guys so much. Nolene, that's a pretty name. I don't think I've seen that one before. Tara, I always have a soft spot for Tara's because my little sister's name's Tara.
Max is here. Hi, Max.
Kate the Great. Hi.
Oh, we got so many great people.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Max. Thank you for having us on. So thank you for the opportunity for us to get to showcase our relationship.
Something else I wanted to talk about real quick. So also, guys, if any of you have questions for us, just based on anything we shared or any questions that you have in general, sorry, I'm just reading what Max wrote. Yeah, just feel free to type them below. We are so happy. Oh, hi, Mom. This is great. So yeah, just check in. Let us know how you're doing. Ask questions you might have just around the subject of love and relationships, and we'd be super happy to answer. But one thing I want to touch on that a lot of people talk to me about, that I've actually worked with a few people on, is the idea of manifesting. So when it comes down to manifestation, a lot of us get tripped up, and some of us know how to do it in a way where it's in line with the highest divine path that's been set out for us, right? So something that was really interesting when Ryan and I first met is that maybe it was like our second or third date, we were talking about how, I don't remember how it came up, maybe you do, but I had said, oh yeah, you're checking everything off on my list.
Sure.
And he was like, oh, you have one too? And I was like, wait, you have a list? And I remember it was actually Max who encouraged me to make an ideal partner list, right? So when I was single and I was just kind of doing my thing, and I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to start to call somebody in. I think it's time for me to get clear about what I want. And Max said, you need to get clear to the universe about what you want. And that's how you're going to be able to come into that energy. So when I was doing that, when I was making that list of all of the things that I wanted in a partner, I also made a list of things I didn't want, right? So I made a list of what I wanted. I made a list of what I didn't want. And I also prayed and meditated a lot when I was making the list. I didn't make it in a rush. I made it as it came to me, right? And random things would come up, I would jot them down. And something I read that was super helpful for me was something by Abraham Hicks. And some of you may be familiar with Abraham Hicks, but Abraham Hicks talks about manifestation a lot, but talks about how you are only really gonna be able to experience the life that you really want if you start living it before it physically shows up for you. So Abraham was saying, talk like you already are in the relationship. Talk like it's already happening. So I used to live in Center City, Philadelphia, and I literally remember walking down Spruce Street being like, I love my boyfriend. He's so wonderful. He's so supportive. I'm so grateful for him. He's hilarious. He cracks me up. He takes care of himself. All of these things, right? I was literally talking, I probably sounded like a crazy person, but I was literally talking like it was already here, right? And I got myself in that energy, and that helped speed up the process so much to us finally meeting each other, because I was already living in this space like it was already happening, right? So getting into that energy is really helpful. Instead of saying, I want a boyfriend who, or I want a significant other or a partner who, if you say I want, you're gonna stay in the wanting energy, right? So if you say to the universe, I want a wonderful partner, the universe is gonna say, okay, you want a wonderful partner. You're gonna keep wanting. If you say instead, I love my partner is this is already happening, then it helps, it just shows up because you're already living in that space, right? So the universe will hear you.
A way that I would pivot and put in my own terms is, because it's true, I definitely did the same thing. I went through a couple relationships where there were things missing. There were some things that were okay, but there was definitely some noticeable things that were not okay. And after the one before I met Nina, I said, you know what, I need to get clear on what it is that I feel like I want, and not only what I want, but what I deserve. And once you have an idea of what you deserve, you set that high standard of excellence and you don't settle for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know what it is that you want, you do not need to settle. You deserve absolutely nothing but the best. If you have great intentions in your heart and you're a good person, that's what you deserve. You deserve good things. So why not try to fight for the best thing possible?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, love. So we have some questions. So why don't we, so Shannon, hi, Shan. Oh, I love you. All right, so Shannon says, Ryan, question for you.
Hey.
I know Nina well, so I know her answer.
Okay.
She said, were you manifesting the love of your life before you and Nina connected?
Yeah, so that's actually very apropos to what we were just talking about. In that point in my life, I was very much in a state of gratitude for a lot of different things that were going on in my life. And I was kind of going with the flow. I knew, or at least in my personal belief, I believe that God was really strongly working in my life. I knew he was leading me in a very positive direction. So again, when my friend Aaron referred me to and introduced me to Nina, I was like, oh man, maybe I'm actually supposed to meet this person. Maybe I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I know I'm supposed to meet this person. Yeah. And again, like I actually already had that list. I already set the standard. I knew the things that I wanted. I knew the things that I didn't want, and I wasn't willing to settle. So that's how I put it in my terms. In my terms, I'm very goal oriented. So I knew this was the goal that I was shooting for, and I wasn't willing to settle for anything less. In Nina's terms, she would word it a little bit differently, as she very eloquently put. She manifested it. She saw what she wanted, and she was living in a state of mindfulness and a state of presence. Mm-hmm. Present mindfulness, I would say more accurately, and that kind of brought it in. Thank you for your question.
Thanks, Shan. What else do we have?
Miss Lisa Rizzo says, how can we show encouragement to our partner? Ways to have them feel inspired, good, and appreciated.
That's a good one, Mom. So I would say it's different ways to show appreciation. One of them that Ryan and I do is every morning we leave a note for each other. And I think he actually briefly mentioned that earlier. But when I wake up in the morning, I'll go into the kitchen to get my coffee and my water, and there will be like a little note there, and Ryan will write something down, like something he appreciates about me, or something about the day ahead, or like
funny reference or something.
There's usually a poem, like a really funny poem or something like that. One of our jokes, and that helps me feel really supported, and it also helps me feel inspired going into the day. What else?
Scrolling up just to see some more comments. So there's a ton of comments. There's 57 so far. So give us a hot second to.
Well, while you're scrolling, I'll say something else.
Okay, cool.
I think something else that can be helpful in helping your partner feel supported is just healthy and open communication and telling them how much you appreciate them. I remember when we first started dating, I was like, oh my gosh, is Ryan gonna think that I'm crazy because I just keep telling him how much I appreciate this and that about him, and I keep telling him how much I like that he does this and how much I like that he does that.
It doesn't get old.
It doesn't get old, you know. Like we all, if you think about yourself, like how much do we love when someone tells us what they appreciate about us? How much do we love when someone just tells us, you know, hey, you look beautiful today, or hey, I really love that you're always so positive, or I you know, you go into Starbucks or you go into the grocery store and somebody knows your name and they're like, oh, you're here, and they smile, you know. And that reminds me too of one of the things that Ryan asked me when we first started dating, and he said, what do you want people to remember about you when they meet you?
Yep. The one question that I ask people, I say, after somebody meets you for the first time, what is it that you want them to remember about you? Think about your answer as your personal brand. So when somebody says your name, John Smith, or whatever your name is, there's an immediate mental picture, there's an emotional reaction. What is it that you want people to think? What is it that you want people to feel when they think of you? And I can tell you, based on the way that people know me, their responses would be very different. The same with Nina, the same with you. Somebody that meets you at the grocery store, somebody that you work with, a family member, maybe you've had positive experiences, maybe you've had negative. Whether we like it or not, they will have an immediate response when somebody thinks of you. So trying to instill a positive experience, a positive memory when people meet you.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's another question that came in that I would like to answer. Kate Miller Hannah, hello there. So you said, hey, I'm in early recovery and my husband has a hard time understanding. What can we do to strengthen our marriage? We have been together for 20 years, since high school.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
That's amazing. So I'll say, Kate, I'm very familiar with recovery. I actually was working in that field for a while. And something that I think is super important, especially in early recovery, is staying connected to other people who are going through the same thing. So I don't know if you have a support system of other people who are in recovery, and just staying connected to them, maybe about how they, if they've had years in recovery or they've had months in recovery, asking them how they have worked out some of the stuff in their relationships, and also like working a program. I would say for your partner, if he's open or she's open to getting educated on what that all means for you. There's some support groups out there that partners go to called Al-Anon or Nar-Anon. You may have heard of this before, but these meetings can be super, super helpful because the partner of the person might not understand exactly what you are battling each day, and the more that they can understand that, maybe not hearing it from you, maybe hearing it from somebody else too, could be helpful. So if you wanted more information on on those support groups or any other questions or anything like that, Kate, feel free to message me directly. I'd be happy to chat with you.
Well, we've been talking for a decent amount of time. We really appreciate your comments and your questions. I think that it would be great if we start talking about meditation and what it means to you, how you practice it. So why don't we start there? Nina, why don't you tell us, what does meditation mean to you? How is it introduced into your life? And how do you continue to use it every day or as often as you can?
Okay, so meditation is one of the most important parts of my life. If I don't meditate at this point, I feel it, and I think everybody else in my life does too. I've always been a really emotional person and a very sensitive person, which has been a really big strength for me, but it's also been a liability. So meditation has helped me learn how to not identify myself as my emotions, but to identify myself as the experiencer of my emotions, so that I feel like I have more of a foundation on how to work and deal with them and show up in everyday life. If you're like me, some of you may also feel other people's emotions, right? It's being an empath, right? I've been an empath my whole life. Ryan can relate to this too, where we can feel other people's emotions, right? So meditation can help us clear our own space so that we aren't feeling everybody else's stuff, because we have enough of our own stuff to feel when it comes down to it, right? So I was introduced to meditation in 2011, and I was introduced to meditation at work. Actually, I worked at a very holistic drug and alcohol rehab as a counselor, and everybody who worked there, they wanted us to practice what we preach, so they actually paid for us to go through a mindfulness program where we learned about meditation. And it just like blew my mind open. I was going through a lot of stuff at that point with chronic pain, and it changed my relationship to my pain, and it just really helped me. Oh yeah, Darlene says she's an empath also. Yep. Totally feel you, sister. So meditation helped me show up completely differently in the world, and it lowered my stress levels. I was feeling more authentically joyful. I used to be the kind of person that was running around like, oh my God, everything's so great, and this and this and this, and I was always very positive, which was great, but it wasn't always coming from the most authentic place. Sometimes it was coming from a place of, I just have to pretend like everything's perfect all the time, so I'm just going to be positive all the time, and I have to be joyful because people love that I'm joyful. But in mindfulness, I learned that all of our emotions are super, super important, and it's important that we are getting in touch and feeling all of them, right? So I'm still a very joyful and energetic person, right? Most people would say, but I'm not afraid of the other emotions, right? And if I'm going to have a day where I'm a little more low energy, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling a certain way, I'm just going to feel it, and I'm just going to be it. And that's okay. When it comes down to it, a foundation of meditation and just connection to Great Spirit or God or Source or Buddha or whatever you call it, right? It's just whatever energy is bigger than us. That foundation of faith is underneath all of the emotions. So if I have faith, but I'm feeling sad, I have a peace inside of me because of that faith. If I have faith and I'm feeling happy, I have a peace inside of me because of that faith. Right? So it's really helpful to have that foundation, because no matter what I'm feeling, I know I have my faith, and I know that I'm ultimately supported by a source that's bigger than just me.
A sense of peace.
A sense of peace. Yeah, absolutely. A sense of peace. That's very true. Yeah. So I would love to share a meditation with all of you. Hi, Kirsty. I see that you're new here. Welcome. So I would love to share a meditation with all of you. And Max had asked me originally to share it around the theme of love. So I'm going to lead us in a meditation on love. Okay. So if anybody has any other questions or comments before I do that, feel free to ask them. And then if you ask questions when we're already in the meditation, then I will try to get back to you after the fact. Maybe I'll send you a message or something.
I will also offer the comment of, for people who may be skeptical, because I will also share this with my community, and I would say that a fair number of people from my community don't come from a world of yoga, meditation, mindfulness, that this stuff really does make a big difference. Being able to calm your emotions, to get a little bit of clarity. This is not, you are creating this, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm just trying to think of how to word it from the perspective of somebody that's skeptical. It's not just like,
it's not all just woo-woo stuff, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, it's all woo-woo and da-da-da-da, but you know,
clarity, focus,
yeah,
mindfulness, being able to live in the present moment rather than worrying about things that happened in the past, getting anxious or stressed or nervous about events that are yet to come. For me, meditation has come into play, I would say, in a couple of areas. The two that are most noticeable, I would say, actually, when I go to sleep. When I go to sleep, what I try to do is I try not to replay everything that's in my head. I try not to think about all the stuff that I need to do the next day. I try to envision a very peaceful setting, whether that is in the woods, by the ocean, floating in the air in clouds, just creating a peaceful place for my mind to rest and to unstress is very helpful. And also something that Nina has taught me is what she calls 4 square breathing. So anytime, actually, the reason why I'm thinking about this is because the coffee cup is on the floor. Caffeine can be great, but sometimes if you're like me, you can get real edgy if you drink too much caffeine. So when I know that my heart rate's getting really, really fast, I'm starting to get stressed. I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? But really, I just know that it's the caffeine. It's not my surroundings. It's not anything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, great. Now I'm going to do Nina's trick of 4 square breathing. So I'll breathe in super, super deep for 4 count. I'll hold that oxygen in my chest for 4 seconds or 4 count. And then I'll exhale it out for 4 count. And then I'll hold nothing for 4 count. And that actually helps to reduce your heart rate.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said blood pressure, but I mean, it's really your heart rate.
Yeah, and it can lower blood pressure too. Yeah. That's awesome, love.
All right.
Ryan's a meditation teacher too, and he doesn't even know it. But
all right, you ready, Freddie?
Putting that out there. All right, so we're going to guide you through a meditation together. So we're kind of just going to free flow this. If you are going to be joining us for the meditation, I hope a lot of you are. It's not going to be too long. Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely, Kate. I will get you that playlist. I'm so glad you're doing well. I just realized who you are. Oh my gosh, this is great. Okay, yeah, sure. I will get you that. I will get you that soon. Alrighty, awesome. Sorry guys, I get so distracted because I'm so excited that people are asking questions and there's so many people on here.
We'll do the meditation, and then what we'll do is we'll scroll back to the comments one more time just to make sure there's nothing else that we missed.
Yeah.
And then hopefully you guys get something that's beneficial out of this whole thing. And if you do, then hopefully you will enjoy it. You'll watch it again later, or maybe you'll consider sharing it with a friend.
Yeah, awesome. Alrighty, so if you are seated, find a comfortable position to sit in. Maybe you have a meditation cushion and you're already in your meditation corner. Maybe you're like, I've never meditated before, I don't know what I'm in for, and you find a comfortable position in a chair or on a couch, or maybe you sit on the floor on a yoga block or just wherever. But if you're gonna sit on the floor, I'd recommend that you try to prop yourself up so that your hips are higher up than your knees. That's gonna help your spine be nice and tall towards the sky and just help your shoulders drop back and down so you can be still for some time. If you're sitting in a chair or on a couch or in a seat, anything like that, just plant your feet on the floor so you can feel a connection and feel grounded, okay? And try to sit up nice and tall through your spine. You can lean back and let your chair support you, but if you do that, try not to slouch. Rather, let your shoulders be back and down and just kind of lean back, let the chair hold you, okay? You can also lay down. I mean, I would recommend sitting for this just because of the energy, but if you wanna lay down, you're like, I didn't even get out of bed yet this morning, Nina, you're crazy, then just stay in bed. Get comfortable, sprawl yourself out, all right? And we'll get started. So just allow your eyes to close.
Remember, if this is your first time, there's no expectation of how this is supposed to go. If you fall asleep, it's okay. The only thing that matters is that you're open to it and you're going to try.
Meditation teacher, I'm telling you, right here, I'm telling you. All right, so eyes are closed. If you're seated, sit up a little taller. Let your shoulders just drop back and down. If you're laying down, just let your arms and your legs go out long. Maybe flip your palms up towards the big sky to help relax your shoulders. No matter what posture you're in right now, just allow yourself to start to arrive where you are, where your feet are, where your breath is. And start to notice what's happening right now. Notice what you hear. Notice what you taste in your mouth. Notice what you smell. Notice your body making contact with your seat. Maybe you notice your feet making contact with the ground. And now begin to notice your breath. Notice your breath's natural rhythm without changing it or controlling it. Notice how every time you breathe in, your belly and your chest expand. And every time you breathe out, how your chest and your belly empty. Just allowing yourself to connect to the natural flow, the natural rhythm, the life force inside. Quieting, slowing down. For the next few minutes as we practice this meditation, there's nowhere else to go and there's nothing else to do. Take a moment right now, starting at the very top of your head, going all the way down to your toes, to scan your body. Notice if there's anywhere you're holding on to tension or tightness. Maybe you slightly open your mouth to give your jaw some space. Maybe you wiggle your toes and fingers a little bit to free up that area. Now notice where in your body you might feel more open or free. Where in your body do you feel freedom and openness? Just continuing to allow the breath to flow naturally. And now bring your attention to your heart center. Maybe even place your hands right over your heart. And get connected to your heartbeat. Maybe you feel it pumping. And just notice how, without you even doing anything, your heart is beating for you and supporting you. Pumping nourishment, love throughout all of the cells of your body. And now imagine there's a green light just where your heart is. Maybe inside of your heart, this green light starts to glow. And imagine that every time you breathe in, this green light in your heart grows a little bit bigger and takes up more space around your heart center, expanding into your chest. And every time you breathe out, just imagine that green energy going throughout your entire body. Maybe you imagine that light traveling down your arms and your fingers, down over your stomach, your pelvis, your hips, your legs, and all the way down to your toes. Every time you breathe in, the green light grows a little bigger, expanding from your heart center. And every time you breathe out, the light travels throughout your entire body, even up through your neck and into your head. This green light represents the energy of love, unconditional love. Continue to breathe with this image, allowing yourself to be filled and held and supported by the energy of love right now. Just continue to breathe with this image for another minute or so on your own. Every time you breathe in, the green light grows bigger. And every time you breathe out, it travels throughout your entire body. Now just remaining in stillness and silence. With your eyes closed, release the image of this golden light. This green light. This green light. Release the image of it. Maybe send it some gratitude as you do. Just saying thank you. Thank you for providing me with love. Thank you for cleansing my physical body. And start to deepen your breath now. Make your next inhale a little bit longer than your last one. And allow your next exhale to be a little more patient and slow. Breathing in to fill up the belly and the chest even more. And slowly breathing out. Take 3 more deep breaths, the 3 deepest breaths you've taken all weekend. Two more. After your 3rd breath, whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes and return. All right, welcome back, everybody. Hope you're feeling the love, and thank you so much, everybody who tuned in and to hang out with us this morning. We really enjoyed it. We're really glad. Feel free to comment on this if you watch it after the fact. Feel free to ask us questions, and we're here. And if you want to know more about Ryan and the beautiful work that he does, feel free to reach out to him or friend him.
Yep. On social media, you can find me on Instagram, Ryan O'Neil, ONEILL88. First name, last name, birth year, and the show again is called This Amazing Life, the first of many. And you can also find Nina Rizzo. What is your Instagram profile?
My Instagram profile is little, Little, Buddha, BUDDHA, named Nina. I forgot for a second. Named Nina. So it's little Buddha named Nina. And I can post that in the comments below. All right.
One thing that I wanted to share, again, coming from the perspective of somebody that's new to meditation and thoughtfulness and mindfulness, for people that are coming from my side where they're not really sure what meditation can do for them or how they should feel, what you might have noticed for me, and I noticed it of myself, I start off with a really tall posture, but slowly as I get more and more comfortable and I sink into it, I just kind of melt into the floor. And if you can imagine the sensation of being underwater in a pool, I'm aware that the ground is below me. I'm aware that the sky is above me, but I just have this feeling of floating, and I'm aware that my body is here, but it's almost like my brain feels so much less pressure. And I'm unbelievably beneficial to the fact that I can sit right next to her and she's got a beautiful voice and it's so calming and so soothing that I can just sit and just be in the moment, and I'm not worried about how much more money do I need to make for the rest of the month, the rest of this IKEA furniture that I need to put together for her, or what are we making for dinner, or this, that, or the other. It's just taking a hot second, whether you do it for 2 minutes, you do it for 5 minutes, you do it for half an hour, whatever time you can allot, that it will have a positive impact on you. You just need to be open to it.
Beautifully said.
Yeah. So like I said, we'll take a couple more minutes. We'll scroll through the comments just to make sure that we didn't miss anything else. We really appreciate your feedback. If you'd like to leave a comment, if you'd like to say if there was something that you thought was beneficial that you heard that we said, or if you'd like to consider sharing this with a friend, we'd really appreciate that. And again, thank you, Max, for the opportunity to come and spend a little bit of time with yourself and with your following of wonderful supporters.
Yay. Alrighty, well, bye everybody. It was so great to spend some time with you this morning. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we will talk to you soon.